There are a ton of integrated bracelet watches coming out these days from microbrands and major brands. And a lot of microbrands are sort of throwing their hat in the ring and creating some new integrated bracelet watches that are pretty appealing. Today we have REISER on the channel, and this is the Alpen date. It is an integrated bracelet watch, and it comes in a very simple box. It is sort of a leatherette box, or maybe it is leather, I'm not sure. It has a little bit of lacquer on it. I always like to see a carrying case rather than a box. I always mention that when we get a box. I'm not sure if this is going to be the final packaging for this watch. However, they are not kickstarting this watch. They are actually going to be selling these directly on their website, and I'll put a link to all of that down below. And I think the website is now actually live. And here is the watch. You can see this is the gold PVD version. It has a black dial, which has sort of a sectional guilloche pattern, which is actually very nicely and deeply etched into that dial. And I have to say, I'm actually very impressed with the quality of this watch. So they say this is designed and headquartered in the Netherlands. However, it is actually made in Germany, and it is signed made in Germany there at the bottom. However, you get a Japanese movement in here, and that is the NH35. And they've gone a little bit further, and they've put an actual custom rotor on here. Now, this is just one of the colorways that are available. There are a few. There's also a strap option, even for this watch, for every single one of these watches. And I think they're also coming out with a chronograph version. I think that might be a quartz. However, this obviously is an automatic. And as I always say, I prefer the stainless steel version personally because I like stainless steel watches better. I don't really care for a PVD coated watch in general, unless it is a black or green PVD coated. But if you're in the market for a gold watch, I have broken those rules in the past, and this is very, very nice. Now, the quality on this is very, very noticeable right from the beginning. You get applied indices, sort of a black chapter ring that is in the shape of the actual bezel. The bezel is flat, it is brushed. Then you have a very thick line of polish that goes all the way around. The case itself has the same sort of line of polishing that goes down the bracelet all the way around. And then you get that same line of polishing on the other side of the case as well. The back of the case is brushed. You have a screwed-in case back. The crown is just a small little crown that sort of matches the actual bezel itself. It actually does have pretty good grip on it, and of course the NH35 does hack and hand wind. I'll do close-ups of the dial because the dial is really, really cool. And like I said, it sort of radiates from the center. It's sectional, and it has a guilloche pattern, which is really nice. It's signed REISER and automatic. Right there, you have a date at the 3 o'clock position, which is not color matched. And I always say I'd prefer not to have a date, but what they did here is they sort of replaced it with they replaced one of the indices with the date there, and they left a white background, so it kind of makes sense and keeps that symmetry. But for symmetry purposes, I always like to not have a date. I'm a dateless guy because I really don't use it. The crown is signed as well. Just want to bring that up as well. And then the butterfly buckle, which people go back and forth on, is actually really nice. And you have some sort of perlage there, and it is double fold. And you do need to fold over one side before the other because you do get this little extra sort of plaque here that is signed with the brand's name. The bracelet itself is really a highlight here. This is finished beautifully, and you can see it is absolutely fluid. There is no sticking whatsoever. Everything is finished nice on this bracelet. This is really hard for a microbrand to do. I have featured a few microbrands on the channel who have made integrated bracelet watches, and it is really hard for them to get a bracelet this fluid. This is very similar, very, very close to the Tissot PRX. You have polishing on the side, brushing underneath, and then a combination of brushing and polishing on the top. Just a really nice bracelet. This is an incredible bracelet, and I actually contacted them immediately, and I was like, is this a production or prototype? Because this is very, very nice. I am very impressed with this bracelet. The dimensions on here, 41 millimeters. There is a big lug to lug, and we'll get to that in a minute. It's pretty thin at around 11.45 millimeters. That's because you're getting sapphire crystal, see-through case back, so it does add a little bit of thickness. So it's just under 12 millimeters. It's not the thinnest, but is not a terrible size there. 41 millimeters. It does wear larger than the 41 millimeters because of the lug to lug. So the lug to lug on the watch itself, without the bracelet, that is around 49 millimeters, and then with the bracelet, it's around 56 millimeters is what I measured, and that is because of the male end links, as you can see. They do curve down and sort of keep in line with the case. However, it does add to that lug to lug, as you can see. But we'll throw it on my wrist so you guys can see on my 7.5-inch wrist how it actually wears. And then we will talk about price. So very quickly, today I am wearing my Eterna. This is the Eterna Advantic, a GMT from the brand. Very affordable GMT on the secondary market. Brand new, these were not affordable whatsoever. I think they were retailed around $6,000 or $7,000. Really good looking watch. Very, very well made watch as well. But definitely on the secondary market is the only way that you should be purchasing those. So here is the Alpen date on my 7.5-inch wrist. And you can see this is a 41 millimeter watch. It definitely wears bigger than that. It probably wears like a 42, maybe closer to a 43. It definitely wears bigger than that 41 millimeters. It's a little bit over than a 41 millimeter watch anyway. It's like a 41.4 millimeters, something like that. So it does wear a little bit bigger than the actual dimensions. And then you could see the lug ends do not hang over my wrist, but I have a 7.5-inch wrist. If you have a smaller wrist than this, you probably shouldn't have a problem. If you have a very small wrist, this might be an issue because of these male end links, but definitely not a bad wear at all. On my 7.5-inch wrist, I think it really fits nicely. And as you can see, I really like the finishing and fit and quality of this watch. It says made in Germany on the dial. It is assembled in Germany, so that is something that definitely adds to the price. These are retailing for around $669, I think, for the PVD gold version, then $629 for the stainless steel version. I would definitely go for the stainless steel version, as I mentioned. However, if you like a gold watch, this is a very high quality PVD. It looks really good, feels really nice, and as I mentioned, the finishing on this watch is exceptional, especially when compared to other Microbrand watches that are on the market. So this is a slightly more expensive watch when compared to other Microbrands. For instance, that Batavi that I recently reviewed on the channel, which I think was around the $500 or $600 mark. But then again, this is made in Germany. The finishing on this bracelet is far superior to that watch. And you also get a really cool dial on here. The finishing on the case is superior. You do get an NH35, however, you do get a custom rotor, so that is a little added benefit. I just like this watch a lot. I think it's really nice, and you get that really nice bracelet. There's the extra finishing that they did on the actual clasp, which is a little added bonus as well, and it's made in Germany, designed in Netherlands. But the made in Germany, I think, is what makes the difference here and makes it a little bit nicer than those other watches. But tell me what you guys think in the comments below. I'd like to hear from you guys. There is Lume on here, so we're going to do a quick Lume shot. We'll wrap up the video, and that'll be it. So pretty decent Lume. You can see both the hands and indices have that minty green BGW9 sort of glow to it. Looks really good and pretty liberally applied, I would say. And like I said, this is not going to Kickstarter, so if you want one of these, I think you could pre-order it directly from their website. You don't have to wait for them to fund. You don't have to wonder if they're going to fund or not. They have the money, I guess, and they are doing this right. And it's not a bad thing to go to Kickstarter, but it's really nice that you could just go to the website, pre-order it, know you're going to get a watch, pick the watch that you want, and it's very, very simple. And this is basically, I believe, a production model because it really is on par finish-wise with something like that Tissot PRX, which you don't see from a Microbrand. And I'm actually very impressed by that. I had the PRX on the channel. I have one. And this is really up there. Microbrands aren't here yet, and that's kind of interesting because this is a microbrand and they have been able to do it. So it can be done. Here we are. Anyway, tell me what you think in the comments below. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It's super helpful for the channel. I very much appreciate it. Please also follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog. I have some links in the description. Those links are to Amazon. If you click those links and buy anything, it helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. However, I very much appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.